So today we're going to talk about a book that's over 100 years old but is having this incredible second life online. It's a really fascinating story about food, about history, and how the internet can just pluck something from obscurity and make it an unexpected bestseller. Let's dive in.
Okay, so when I say Italian food, what pops into your head? You're probably thinking about rich tomato sauces, maybe some complicated pasta dishes, decadent desserts, right? It's a cuisine we all think we know, but the version we're about to look at, well, it's something else entirely.
Yeah, we are literally opening a culinary time capsule because this is not the Italian food you'll find in fancy restaurants today. It's a vision of Italian cooking that was frozen in time from a very specific and, frankly, a very different era.
At the heart of it all is this book. It's called, simply enough, The Italian Cookbook, and it was written by an author named Maria Gentile way back in the early 20th century. Now, that's a pretty straightforward title for a book that's got a surprisingly deep philosophy behind it.
But get this, the book's full title reveals a much bigger ambition. It's actually called The Art of Eating Well. See? This wasn't just a list of ingredients and steps. This was positioned as a guide to a whole way of life, promising practical instructions on everything from pastries to syrups.
And that phrase right there, the art of eating well, that is the absolute key. It tells you everything. It shows that Maria Gentile wasn't just trying to teach people a few recipes. She was teaching them a whole philosophy for how to think about food.
Her entire philosophy really stood on three pillars. According to the book's intro, every single dish had to be 1. Palatable, it has to taste good. 2. Healthy, that makes sense. And 3. Crucially, economical. And that last one, economical, is the key that unlocks this entire book.
And right away, this creates such a fascinating contrast. Our modern idea of Italian food often screams richness, abundance, complexity. But Maria Gentile's vision, it was the polar opposite. It was a cuisine built from the ground up on being resourceful, on being practical, and on making every last ingredient count. So you have to ask, why? Why that intense, relentless focus on being economical? Well, to get it, you have to understand the world this cookbook was born into. This wasn't a kitchen of plenty. This was a kitchen operating in the long, dark shadow of the Great War.
This whole idea of resourcefulness wasn't just some quirky preference the author had. No, it was a widespread feeling, a sentiment that grew directly out of the scarcity and the hardship that defined the post-war period.
It all boils down to one powerful idea: thrift. And in this context, thrift doesn't mean being cheap. Not at all. It was a virtue. It was a whole philosophy of being careful, of being resourceful, of not wasting a single thing, because people literally couldn't afford to.
And you can see this philosophy baked right into the structure of the book. It starts with the absolute basics, like how to make a good broth or fresh pasta. The instructions are incredibly clear and detailed, designed so that a total beginner, someone who's maybe never cooked before, could follow along and make a good meal. This was accessibility born out of pure necessity.
Okay, so let's hit the fast-forward button, about 100 years. How does a book like this, born from post-war thrift, find an audience in our modern age of, digital abundance and Uber Eats? This is where the story takes a really interesting turn.
So after it was first published in the early 20th century, the book pretty much vanished. But then, in 2008, it was digitized and released for free on Project Gutenberg. It was even updated as recently as 2021. I mean, what an incredible journey, from a dusty, forgotten bookshelf to a global server.
And once it went digital, the book got this whole new identity. It has an official ebook number, 24407. It's in the public domain in the US, which is why it can be shared freely. It was preserved by a team of online volunteers, which is amazing. And check out that reading E-score. It's rated at a 7th grade level. That's a direct echo of its original mission, to be accessible to absolutely everyone.
So this all leads to the big question, right? In our world of slick food blogs, viral TikTok recipes, and celebrity chefs on every channel, who on earth is actually downloading a plain text 100-year-old cookbook with 0 pictures?
The answer? A lot of people, it turns out. Get this, in the last 30 days alone, this book was downloaded 925 times.
Nearly 1,000 people in just 1 month went looking for this culinary time capsule. That is just wild.
So this book's journey kind of perfectly sums up its transformation. You know, back in the post-war era, it was a physical object, and its guiding principle was necessity. Today, it's a digital file, and its guiding principle is something totally different: curiosity. People are downloading it not just for the recipes, but for a direct link to the past.
And honestly, the book's survival is only possible because of the simple but incredibly powerful mission of places like Project Gutenberg. Their motto says it all: their ebooks are always free. That means this piece of our cultural history, this little window into another time, is saved for anyone, anywhere to access. It's just an amazing public service.
Which leads us with a really interesting question for our own lives. What can a book that came from a time of scarcity teach us about the art of eating well, in our world of convenience and, let's be honest, excess? Maybe those old principles, making food that's delicious, healthy, and economical, are actually more relevant now than they've ever been.